Hello, my colleague Dito and I, Vivi, will cover the chapters, chapter 13 and 14 from Motohashi's Global Business Strategy. I will discuss chapter 13, while later in this video, Dito will discuss chapter 14. So, chapter 13 talks about Thailand's National Science and Technology Development Agency and Japanese firms. And this chapter comprises of several topics to discuss, including introduction, Thailand as a business destination, Thailand's science and technology policy, and a NSD-SDA overview, NSD-SDA and R&D activities of Japanese firms in Thailand, Thailand's R&D environment from the perspective of foreign firms, as well as main themes of this case study and points for consideration. As the rate of market growth in advanced nations is tapering off, emerging nations are showing great growth potential, with markets expanding alongside increasing income levels of the people of these countries. As such, emerging nations are increasingly becoming attractive as locations for R&D centers to capture their growing markets. Emerging nations themselves are incentivized to attract corporate R&D from advanced nations. These centers make possible the development of highly skilled workers and are expected to improve the technical abilities of related firms. There are various reasons firms conduct R&D overseas. First, taking advantage of research resources not available in their home country. Two, carrying out development to localized products and services. And three, conforming from a technical aspect to necessary local laws such as safety regulations. The aspect they share in common is their need for access to local research resources such as personnel and technologies, consequently making the selection of local partners vital. In this chapter, we explore Thailand's National Science and Technology Development Agency and the possibilities this agency provides to Japanese corporations as an R&D partner and how industries are continuing to consolidate on a regional basis within the ASEAN countries. So, as a result of stronger yen stemming from the 1985 Plaza Accord, the Japanese companies built in succession manufacturing bases throughout Southeast Asian nations. Among these nations, Thailand enjoyed robust foreign investments, with companies in electronics and transportation sectors moving into the country. Likewise for Thailand, Japan is an important source of direct investment, and the two economies are closely linked. One of the reasons for this strong investment is the impact of Thailand's Board of Investment, which manages the country's investment regulations and has aggressively pursued a policy of introducing foreign investments into the country. Subsequently, in 2007, the Thai government embarked on investment and tax incentive for green cars, which set out corporate and other tax exemptions for a set volume production of fuel-efficient compact cars. Many foreign firms, led by the Japanese, took advantage of this offer. Moreover, with cooperation from the Japanese government, the Thai Nichi Institute of Technology opened its door in 2007 to educate automotive manufacturing workers. Accordingly, the Thai government proclaimed its Detroit of Asia concept, steadily firming up its position as an automotive manufacturing base within the Asian countries. Science and technology policies in Thailand are founded on the 2004-2013 National Science and Technology Strategy Plan. Until the 90s, the Thai government promoted policies for economic growth revolving around a manufacturing industry based on natural resources and cheap labor. However, lower economic growth brought on by the Asian economic Prices as well as higher competition from nearby Asian countries caused a change in policy that recognized the need for higher value-added industry through innovation to achieve lasting growth. According to the strategy plan, the following 4 points are critical to the formation of a knowledge-based economy and society. First, creation of a national innovation system and industrial clusters such as organic partnerships with universities, public research institutions, and industry. Second, human resource development. Third, improving the technology capabilities in 4 main areas including information technology, materials technology, biotechnology, and nanotechnology. Fourth, creation of a development-oriented environment such as laws and economic institutions that promote organic partnership for innovation systems and the fostering of social values. Furthermore, the overall characteristics of the plan were twofold. First, science and technology policy focusing on the demand side with innovation and industry, unlike the former supply side approach focusing on academic findings. And second, setting forth national innovation system principles and organic partnerships between industry, academia, and government. Consequently, the National Science and Technology Development Agency is a national research institution managed by Thailand's Ministry of Science and Technology, and it plays an important role in national science as well as technology strategy. As a public research organization, the NSTDA not only conducts its own research, but it also distinctive in that it aims to improve technology levels of domestic firms through technology transfers and technical guidance to the private sector. And one of the merits of NSTDA as a joint research partner is the agency's quality of personnel as well as tremendous value in using both tangible and intangible NSTDA research assets, ranging from a variety of testing equipment to databases on biological resources. Since the NSTDA is located in the North Bangkok Science Park, it received the highest level of investment incentive privileges from the BOI. They not only work in close conjunction with regional economies for research such as developments of aquaculture technology for black tiger shrimps and multipurpose drugs for agriculture, but also conducts cutting-edge research including metagenomic analysis of microorganisms. Moreover, there are some of the main technology transfer activities of the NSTDA, which include Industrial Technology Assistance Program, Company-Directed Research and Development Program, NSTDA Investment Center, Intellectual Property Services, as well as Thai Science Park. Thailand has many Japanese firms conducting R&D in products such as automobile, chemical, food products, and daily necessities. In this chapter, we describe the state of partnerships with the NSTDA using the cases of Shiseido and Polyplastic Co. Ltd., both of which conduct joint R&D with the agency. The first one is Shiseido. Shiseido has created a Southeast Asian research center within its local subsidiary, Shiseido Thailand, where research is conducted for the application of natural resources such as herbs found in Southeast Asia. However, an issue arose regarding patent applications. This issue reflects that it is better to have a partnership with local research center. In 2005, Shiseido was moving ahead with plans to build R&D centers around the world as part of its global R&D strategy at the time, including the countries in Southeast Asia. The main activities of the Southeast Asia Research Center are as follows. First, basic research. Second, information gathering regarding cosmetic-related laws and regulations and responding to various risks. And third, local sales support. Meanwhile, The cooperation with the NSTDA mainly revolves around basic research including research of Thailand's herbs and indigenous bacteria. The second partnership is with Polyplastic Technical Solutions Center. Polyplastics is a joint venture between Diacell Polymer Ltd and the US-based Tecona Inc. and is a manufacturer of resin material for engineering plastics. While Polyplastics manufactures and sells resin, its Technical Solutions Center is responsible for technical support of resin products developed and manufactured by the company's customers. The Technical Solutions Centers provide technical support in manufacturing and defect analysis to molders who are subcontracted by the automakers. The quality of high-performance plastic parts is dependent on the characteristics of the plastic material as well as the product design, molding equipment, and the settings of the equipment. Thus, the role of the Technical Solutions Center is a four-step process of material selection, product and mold design, molding, and molded product analysis, where the two later steps are focused in Thailand. At present, many Japanese automakers, including Toyota and Honda, have development centers in the Bangkok vicinity. The benefits of these companies creating a center within NSTDA's MTEC include information, personnel, and equipment, while for MTEC itself, the merits are more on gaining technical expertise from the partnerships. Meanwhile, Thailand has continued to grow economically at a relatively steady pace alongside the ever-increasing agglomeration of the automobile industry. However, the country lags behind when it comes to R&D focusing on a knowledge-intensive economy. Subsequently, the government has historically considered academic research and the industrializations or innovations of such research separately, establishing the NSTDA as a pure research organization. Since 2002, the NSTDA has created and implemented a new strategy that incorporates innovation and is moving in the direction of R&D with the aim of industrialization as well as joint research with private corporations. Furthermore, the competition with Western firms is expected to become more intense within emerging markets in the future. This case study was created to help readers to consider the appropriateness of Thailand, where Japanese companies have a long history of operations as a destination for an R&D facility and the effectiveness for companies to establish partnerships with the state-run NSTDA. In expanding R&D facilities overseas, it is necessary to survey the R&D infrastructure, such as technology level, research personnel, intellectual property systems, industry-academia partnerships, and various policies like science parks of the country in question. In addition, it is important to consider the utilization of ideas and research resources for products and services available in the target country by strengthening partnerships with innovation systems within its borders. There are 6 points of consideration, including technology-centric, market-centric, policy-centric, production-centric, cost-centric, and innovation-centric. Moreover, it is also critical that joint R&D be undertaken so that there are merits for both sides. Okay, so that's all to chapter 13, and my colleague Dito will continue to discuss chapter 14 about Suzuki Motors expansion in India.
Okay, thank you, Fifi, for the presentation. Now I will continue. It is about Suzuki in India. Suzuki Motor Corporation is a Japanese manufacturer of automobiles and motorcycles. In Japan, the company follows Toyota when it comes to car design. However, it is the number one car manufacturer in India, become the dominant in terms of passenger vehicle. Suzuki business in India began with a joint venture in 1982 with the Indian government and investment in state-owned Maruti Udyog. In 1983, Suzuki started producing the Maruti 800, which had the largest sales at the time, earning it the nickname the People's Car of India. In 1980, India started producing goods based on a planned economy, and employees paid little attention to productivity. So it took time to embed auto production management methods among employees. In addition, Suzuki's relationship with the Indian government, its partner in the joint venture, deteriorated and experienced large-scale employee strike. In addition, with the growth of the Indian automotive market, competitors are starting to enter the market. Among foreign car market makers, Hyundai Motor Company Korea is growing in market share, and domestic car maker Tata Motors is also India's third largest automaker. Therefore, a price war with the domestic producer began. Okay, Suzuki Motors Corporation is a company that was founded in 1920. After launching a lightweight two-wheels and four-wheel business, it was then called the Suzuki Motors Corporation. At the end of 2011, the company had 134 subsidiaries and 37 associate companies. On a consolidated basis, Suzuki has a workforce of 50,000 employees. Apart from cars, Suzuki also produces and sells motorbikes. Two-thirds of its income comes from overseas business. Suzuki has expanded its product line with a major focus on the light vehicle segment. In 1981, they strengthened the auto business through an agreement with General Motors, which formed an operational and capital alliance. In 1983, they started manufacturing and selling Cultus. In 2000, Suzuki received a capital injection from GM, and at the time, GM's stake in Suzuki reached 20%, leading to the announcement of a new strategic alliance with GM. But unfortunately, however, GM lowered its stake to 3% due to operational restructuring caused by deteriorating performance, and ended up selling all the remaining shares in Suzuki in 2008. In 2009, Suzuki entered into a capital partnership with Volkswagen, which owned a large part of Chinese market. However, the partnership never materialized into substantial business, and the comprehensive agreement was cancelled in 2011. Suzuki entered into an arbitration to request the divestment of shares held by Volkswagen, which had not yet been approved by Volkswagen. This company was very advanced in its time, especially in the motorcycle segment. For example, the first large scooter with engine of 400 and 600 cc, which were very popular in Europe, were sold by Suzuki. From 1973 to 2006, the company was number one for 34 years in the light vehicle segment in Japan, and also act as an original equipment manufacturer for Nissan and Honda. Okay, the next is Suzuki business in India. The bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers saw the Suzuki subsidiary in India experience tremendous success. 30% of Suzuki overall profits on a consolidated basis come from India. The Indian government, with a view to developing car manufacture that can produce compact cars with good fuel consumption at low cost, asked Japanese car manufacturer to enter the market. This is how Suzuki entered the Indian market. The auto industry at the time considered this to be reckless, and some internal officials opposed the agreement between Suzuki and India. Although the Indian government has asked Suzuki to have a maximum foreign ownership of 40%, Suzuki, with investment risk in mind, has determined that 26% is the most it can invest. Suzuki also ensured that its approval of important policy issues such as CEO changes, was included as a condition of the joint venture agreement, and it allowing Suzuki to instill a Japanese management style into the joint venture. By training Indian employees in Japanese factories, the company was able to generate a desire to master the car production management system. Back then, Maruti earned their trust because it was a state-owned company. In 1990, India experienced a crisis, and at the request of the Indian government in 1992, Suzuki increased its ownership in the joint venture to 50%. In 1997, Suzuki felt it was unfair that Indian chose executives whom the company found incompetent and opposed the Indian side for it. The Indian government did not think that Suzuki, a mere private company, would react so violently. Finally, in 1998, the two sides agreed. The dispute caused the disruption of new car models so that Maruti new car sales management decision was delayed. And because of this, this has an impact on delaying the payment of workers' wages, forcing workers to strike on a large scale. The government sold all its remaining share in 2007, by which time Suzuki managed to cut all capital ties with the government. Okay, next is supply chain creation and local development infrastructure. The auto industry has a hierarchical structure, with automakers at the top as assemblers, working directly with relatively large Tier 1 suppliers who in turn are supplied by many Tier 2 and Tier 3 suppliers. When Suzuki just started passenger car production in partnership with Maruti Suzuki, there is no company in India that can manufacture auto parts that meet Suzuki quality standard. And at the request of the Indian government to purchase spare parts domestically to develop the auto parts industry in India, Maruti Suzuki started looking for tires and batteries domestically. At the time, Tata and Mahindra produced trucks and buses. With all the necessary parts being produced internally, this company never considered developing a parts supply network. The parts supplier itself has the technology, so Suzuki decided to form a three-way joint venture between Suzuki, Maruti Suzuki, and the parts supplier. The same was true for plastic bumpers, as India at the time only produced metal bumpers. In this way, Suzuki has continued to move forward by creating a local supply chain. The PACE manufacturing program ended in 1992, and Maruti Suzuki started sourcing parts from Indian companies, which were then able to produce high quality parts. Okay, the next is India's automotive industry, huge opportunities and increasing competition. The, shrink, the shrinking auto markets in the US and Japan due to the economic recession triggered by Lehman Brothers, the growth of the automotive market in the developing countries was astonishing. India's potential as a car market can also be obtained from the relatively low penetration of the vehicle market. In 2010, the population per vehicle was 57, more than double China's score of 27. Along with the national economic growth, India's average wage rate has also increased. The percentage of a middle-class population who have the ability to buy a car has increased to 10% of the total population and is expected to grow in the future. In terms of the 2011 passenger car market share, Hyundai Motor Company is somewhat ahead of Tata Motors, although Tata has a big advantage in terms of total production volume when commercial vehicles are included. Tata Motors started selling the Nano, a low-priced vehicle, in 2009. Next in terms of market share are Mahindra and Mahindra, which mainly produce SUV. Toyota, GM, Ford, and Honda are around the list, with sales volume of between 50,000 and 100,000 vehicles respectively. The standings are based on India domestic sales, although in terms of production volume including exports. Hyundai Motor Company is far ahead of Tata Motors. Nissan has also built export production facilities and plans to produce 240,000 vehicles annually by 2012. Parts that require high quality or precision are sometimes imported from the manufacturer's home country, but the manufacturer has to increase the percentage of parts purchased locally to reduce production costs. Okay, the next is Hyundai Motor India. Hyundai first entered the Indian market in 1996 and is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Hyundai Motor Company. Hyundai has a sizable market in India and is second only to Suzuki. Until 2005, most of the cars sold in the Indian car market were variants of older models from developed countries, but Hyundai Motor India introduced a new model called Santro to the market. Hyundai Motor India is also a source of export for Hyundai Motor Company, India's largest exporter. The company has built a supply chain for Korean spare parts suppliers to keep up with the growth in production volume. Internationally, Tata has grown aggressively through M&A, acquiring Daewoo Korea in 2004 and forming Daewoo Commercial Vehicle Company. Tata bought Jaguar or Land Rover in June 2008, gaining a foothold in the luxury car and SUV market. And in the domestic vehicle market, Indica is the car that the nano mini car introduced in 2006. The company also plans to introduce a new car category that fits the Indigo and Nano models. However, no increase has been seen in Indigo market share in the compact category where Maruti Suzuki and Hyundai Motors India are strong. Within the automotive industry, Mahindra and Mahindra are positioned somewhere between the passenger and commercial vehicle markets, having a 50% market share in the utility vehicle segment. As for their foreign partners, they formed a joint venture with Renault and introduced a mid-range, low-price model called the Logan. Okay, the last part is Honda swap. In 1995, Honda's automotive division made a joint venture with USA International India, calling it Honda Seal Car India Limited. This company manufactures and sells the City and Accord type of Honda car. The company introduced a low-end model called the Jazz in 2008 before introducing the compact Brio in 2011. In September 2012, Honda dissolved its joint venture and announced that it will move forward as a wholly owned subsidiary. Suzuki's wide model lineup is ready to compete with this company. And that's all of my presentation. Thank you.